Hello, welcome to my lesson 1 of the cargo lesson series. In this lesson, I will introduce all international and UK legislation applicable to the carriage of cargoes at sea. I'll first introduce the international regulations, followed by the UK regulations and the relevant guidance notes. Carriage of goods at sea as cargo is regulated by a number of international, flag state, and local regulations. For example, a UK ship loading cargo in Australia will need to meet the international, the local, that's the Australian, and also the UK rules. Besides mandatory regulations, shipmaster shall also try to comply with any non-mandatory guidance that may be applicable and relevant. Can you pause the lesson at this stage and try to list the cargo regulations that apply to UK ships of different types? A UK ship is required to comply with the following 14 regulations, codes or guidance manuals. 1. International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, i.e. IMDG code. This code applies to any ship carrying dangerous goods as defined in Chapter 7 of SOLAS or marine pollutant as identified in the MARPOL Convention. 2. International Maritime Solid Bulk Cargoes Code or IMSBC code. The provisions contained in this code apply to all SOLAS ships that carry solid bulk cargoes as defined in Chapter 6 of the SOLAS Convention. Now, Chapter 6 is titled Carriage of Cargoes. 3. International Code for the Construction and Equipment of Ships Carrying Liquefied Gases in Bulk, or IGC code. Gas tankers, to that matter, they are covered by a confusing array of codes. The era built of a vessel will determine which code applies. 4. Code for the construction and equipment of ships carrying liquefied gases in bulk, or GC code. This code was developed to provide an international standard for the safe carriage of sea in bulk of liquefied gases and certain other substances. The code generally applies to ships built on or after 31st of December 1976, but prior to the 1st of July 1986. For ships delivered before 31st of December 1976, another code named as EGC or Existing Gas Ship Code applies. 5. International Code for the Safe Carriage of Grain in Bulk. The International Grain Code applies to ships regardless of size, including those of less than 500 gross tonnage engaged in the carriage of bulk grain. The purpose of the code is to provide an international standard for the safe carriage of grain in bulk. And number 6 is Code of Safe Practice for Ships Carrying Timber Deck Cargoes. TDC code is non-mandatory and applies to all ships of 24 meters or more in length and carrying a timber deck cargo. The code provides rational guidance for securing timber on deck to prevent it from shifting. Number 7, Code of Safe Practice for Cargo Stowage and Securing, or CSS code. And the purpose of this code is to provide an international standard to promote the safe stowage and securing of cargoes. 8. International Code for the Construction and Equipment of Ships Carrying Dangerous Chemicals in Bulk, or IBC code. The IBC code provides an international standard for the safe carriage by sea of dangerous and noxious liquid chemicals in bulk. To minimize the risk to ships, their crews, and the environment, the code prescribes the design and construction standards of ships and the equipment they should carry. 9. Code of Safe Practice for the safe loading and unloading of bulk carriers, or the Blue Code. The Blue Code provides guidance to ship masters of bulk carriers, terminal operators, and other parties concerned for the safe handling, loading, and unloading of solid bulk cargoes, and is linked to Regulation 6, Loading, Unloading, and Stowage of Bulk Cargoes of the SOLAS Convention. Number 10. Emergency Response Procedures for Ships Carrying Dangerous Goods, or EMS Guide. The purpose of this guide is to provide guidance for dealing with fires and spillages on board ships involved in dangerous goods listed in the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code, or IMDG Code. Number 11. Medical First Aid Guide for use in accidents involving dangerous goods, or MFAJ Guide. The guide is produced as a supplement of the IMDG Code and provides information on medical first aid for use in accidents involving dangerous goods. Number 12. Recommendation on the safe use of pesticides in ships provides guidance on the usage of pesticides at sea. Number 13 is a Cargo Securing Manual. CSM provides guidance on loading, securing, and stowage of cargo units, including containers. Cargo Securing Manual for each ship is approved by the administration. Number 14. International Convention for Safe Containers, or CSC. CSC sets out procedures to ensure structural safety of containers used in international transport. Each container must be approved by the administration and carry a safety approval plate containing the relevant technical data onto the approved containers. Besides international regulations, a number of UK regulations or guidance notes have been published for the safe carriage, transportation, shifting, and handling of cargoes. The first one is Merchant Shipping Carriage of Cargoes Regulation 1999. It applies to the carriage of all cargoes, including dangerous goods. But the carriage of dangerous goods must also meet the requirements of number 2, and that is the Merchant Shipping Dangerous Goods and Marine Pollutants Regulation 1997. Number 3. Provision and Use of Work Equipment Regulations 1998. It's often abbreviated to POWER. It places duties on employers to provide safe work equipment and manage the risks from that equipment. POWER regulations are primarily for land-based functions. For merchant ships, an equivalent regulation, named the Merchant Shipping and Fishing Vessels Provision and Use of Work Equipment Regulation 2006, has been adopted. And number 4, Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulations 1998, or a LOLER regulation. This regulation places duties on employers to provide safe lifting equipment and manage the risks from that equipment. In most cases, lifting equipment is also work equipment, so the provisions of use of work equipment regulations, i.e. POWER, will also apply. For merchant ships, an equivalent regulation named the Merchant Shipping and Fishing Vessels Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulation 2006 has been adopted. Besides the Merchant Shipping Carriage of Cargoes Regulation 1999, the Merchant Shipping Dangerous Goods and Marine Pollutants Regulation 1997, POWER, and LOLER requirements, following merchant shipping notices and marine guidance notes have also been issued. MSN 1875, the Carriage of Dangerous Goods and Marine Pollutants in Package Form, MSN 1852, requirements for tanks taking dangerous goods by sea. MSN 1718, the safe use of pesticides in ships. MGN 576, guidance for undertaking fumigation operations alongside. MGN 552, cargo safe storage of specialized vehicles. MGN 547M is for bauxite and the safe carriage by sea. MGN 514M, solid bulk cargoes, is for iron ore fines. MGN 513M is solid bulk cargoes for controlling moisture content. MGN 512M, solid bulk cargoes and the cargoes that are not listed in the IMSBC code are listed in this. Now this concludes my first lesson on the carriage of cargoes at sea. Please refer to my other lessons that contain details on each of the international and UK regulations that you must be aware of for the oral examination purposes. So my next lesson is about IMDG code. So I shall see you then. Goodbye.